How are you doing today? Everything good though?
Yeah, everything's pretty good. I did some autumn activities this morning,
Yeah.
going to a apple cider farm, typical stuff that you do in the
An
October
apple
weather.
cider farm?
Well, it's like a farm that, has those apple cider donuts and pumpkins and, all that autumn activity stuff.
Yeah, I'm not very hip to the apple cider. We have what do we have? We have those corn mazes, or what do they call those?
Oh,
In
yeah,
the
yeah.
um we have like that, and then pumpkin patches. There's only one orchard. Is that what it's called? An orchard?
Oh,
Orchard
yeah.
Farm. It's in Illinois, out by where Andy used to live back in the day. It's still there.
Oh,
Eckert's Farms. Andy, is that still around?
What is it called?
Eckert's Farms.
Oh yeah, the apple picking place. Yeah, I think it's still out there.
oh,
Yeah.
nice. Yeah. So, yeah, actually, that's kind of what I went to today. Apple
Okay.
picking, pumpkin patches.
Nice.
Yeah.
Time of year, the best time of year. I love it. I think October's the
Exactly.
best month. It really is.
Yeah, everyone was heading north to Vermont and New Hampshire to see the foliage.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like the traffic was backed up for miles. But it's, that time of year.
Where are you calling from again?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Where are you from again? I'm sorry.
I'm in Boston, Massachusetts.
Nice. I love Boston.
Boston, Mass.
Yeah. Well, I'm not originally from there, so I don't have the accent, but I'm originally from Michigan, so I'm a Midwesterner.
Nice.
All
I
right.
remember back in the day in the band I was in, like years ago, we used to always play Boston, and we always would drive to Salem and get drunk in we'd jump the fence to that big graveyard right as you're pulling in. And we would just get drunk in that Salem graveyard for some reason, just because we loved the movie Hocus Pocus, I guess.
Oh,
But
yeah.
we booked a show there one time around Halloween, and it like packed out. It was called Dodge Street. I think it's gone, but it was like some Halloween show in Salem. We love Massachusetts. It was a lot of fun.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, I think Brian froze.
Uh-oh.
Am I still there?
Oh,
There you
now
are.
you are.
Wow. I was gonna say, way to document your vandalism.
I know, right? Now I'm on some sort of list, I think.
Now they'll track you down.
Yeah, right.
Oh, that wasn't when you were in CAVO though, right?
No, it wasn't CAVO. It was a band before CAVO. Brian was not involved. Anyone listening, Brian was not there.
Right.
And all the gear behind Brian is his. He didn't steal it, I promise.
Hopefully not.
It better be mine. It's taking me long enough to pay it off. No. Kidding.
Yeah, right.
What is that blue one? What kind of guitar is that?
That's one of my Brubaker. It's the one that was in the this is the bass that was in the video for Come Undone.
Oh,
yeah.
nice.
It's a headless stock. I had it made, was it last year, 2020?
I love it.
It's one of my faves. And then I got a Merlot bass that I just acquired. Semi-hollow. This one's a beauty. You'll never see this at a show. This is only studio.
Wow, that one's really fancy looking.
Yeah, semi-hollow. I have a bit of a bass addiction, so I'm
It's understandable.
constantly buying basses, and my dog just knocked over my soda. Yerk.
But at least it didn't knock. That could have been bad.
This is my newest puppy,
Oh,
Finn, and all he does is get into stuff.
that's what puppies do.
Stop
What's
it,
his name?
Finn,
Finn. Oh, cute.
because he's fair-haired. He's a fawn. I typically get brindle, so I've always had brindle boxers, and he's the first fawn boxer I bought. But I didn't say bought. I rescued.
Oh, nice. Is
and
he a
then
fan
paid
of the
for
music?
adoption. He hasn't had to experience it yet. But we'll see. I play bass around, and he just kind of sits down and listens and falls asleep. So stop it. Anyway,
Well, seems like you guys are keeping busy making new music. I was watching your stories on Instagram, and
Yeah,
those backup singers are really good.
Thanks. The one in the middle is my cousin, Jocelyn Youngblood. And believe it or not, her brother is a dog. I'm telling you. Her brother is a phenomenal drummer and producer as well. And he's a DJ as well. Yeah, I mean, we've been working pretty hard at all this new music. We're not touring and doing all these other things, and we're still pretty much, I don't know, separated from life and the pandemic and everything else. So we don't get to see Andy very often. He's in Nashville and we're in St. Louis, and I make him drive up and for pre-pro, which is the end of this month, for the next group of songs we're doing. Yeah, I mean, we try to stay busy, studio life and normal life.
Yeah, so it's I'm sorry?
I said, wouldn't you say, Andy?
Oh yeah. No, I think so. I think we were lucky, given everything that happened last year, because we had all this stuff. We had all these videos shot and we had all these songs kind of ready to go. So when 2020 went kind of nuts, we were still pumping out songs constantly. And it was funny because in the beginning of it, I don't know if you remember this, Brian, but we would put out music videos and some of the comments would be, "Where are your masks? You guys are just hanging out together." No one understood that we had actually shot those videos like in late 2019 or whatever. But we were lucky to have that and to have it to keep us busy. We did get together. I think it was in May. I think it's been since May or maybe June when we cut the initial pre-pro before we did the drums for this new coming out.
Yeah.
Which that was good. First time back in the room together in like a year almost. So it was good to see the guys and just to hang, Yeah,
we were supposed to play a virtual show during the pandemic as well.
Oh yeah.
That got shot because one of us had COVID. I'm not saying who, and it wasn't Andy.
Okay.
That wasn't me. I'm invincible. Invincible.
And it wasn't me. It was one of us.
Okay, that kind of narrows it down.
Right. One of us had COVID, and so that got canceled. But like plans, our whole plan for Bridges, Bright Nights, and Thieves got changed because of the pandemic. I mean, we just now put it together and released it as a record versus, it was supposed to be a record with a couple singles, and it wound up being all singles. And then we just slapped it together as a record the way we intended near the end of it all. But originally it was supposed to come out as a record, and kind of a saving grace because we learned that, the market is for us, that is well suited to do more of a singles based than a record based, which is why we're doing, should we go ahead and tell her what we're doing? We're doing 3 original EPs, 5-song EPs, and 3 cover EPs. And we're going to be releasing them for the next 2.5 years.
Oh, nice.
We have, so the first EP or first single off the EP should come out. It was supposed to be October, but that's not going to happen. So it'll probably be November timeframe, if not beginning of next year, December or beginning of next year.
Oh, exciting.
Yeah, we've had some scheduling issues with the studio we're at, and some members of the band and stuff. So the dates got pushed back just a little bit. But we go in at the end of this month to start the pre-pro for the first cover EPs. So we're going to do original cover, original cover, original cover.
Okay.
And so we go back in. What dates are we in?
I think it's October 26th, 27th, and 28th, I believe. It's the very end of this month because we've got the first the new EP that's coming out, which is funny because when I post up on Instagram, I think people are confused. They think I'm talking about, like, I posted this thing where it was like me and Brian doing one of these Zoom things, and I was like Pookie's face when he hears my drum tracks off this new EP, and then all the comments were, "I know, they're amazing." I'm like, you guys haven't even heard it yet, but no one realized it's a whole new thing now in a few months we already have recorded.
They're just very confident that they're going to enjoy it.
yeah, it's kind of nice.
Now Andy froze. Haha.
Yeah.
Not just my internet.
Huh.
Take a picture of that and save it. Case or Andy's look when he realizes the bass is going to be a little bit more loud. There you go.
There we go.
You froze for a second.
I froze?
Yes, you
Oh,
froze.
wow. My bad. I was just pretending. But
I said
no,
Andy's look when he hears the bass tracks are louder than the drums.
I initially, but yeah, so we're excited, and we all pick songs that we like. We, for the cover EP, we just picked songs that we liked. We just didn't want to really think about anything else. Just what songs do we? But we always wanted to cover, and we each brought our own songs to the table, and it was cool to see the difference because I mean we all come from different musical backgrounds, and so it's cool. Ryan's picks and mine and Chris's and Casey's, kind of all over the board. So we'll see if people love it or hate it. I guess we'll see.
So you said the covers that you're going to do, you each picked one that you want to cover?
Yes, ma'am.
We each picked 3 songs that we loved and that we always wanted to cover. And we just figured that was the best way to go about it versus trying to vote and pick, you know, it's one of those things like it's just kind of do it for us and, you know, see how it goes.
I think what makes CAVO unique and is CAVO is because we all have our own different influences when it comes to music. And we as a band try to allow those influence to shine in our music. So trying to pick a cover, and all of us agree, is and 5 covers or 4 or 5 covers is going to be near impossible. Just because, you know, we're all from different influences. So it was I guess the easiest way to do it and the most fair is say everybody just pick a cover that you want to do and have in your head how you want it to sound, because we're going to kind of have to produce it ourselves. You know, like Andy picked a cover song and he's going to kind of have the direction on how he wants it to go. So it's kind of cool because, you know, I've produced before. I don't, Candy, have you ever sat in a producer's kind of with a song or anything?
Yeah.
So it's like we're all going to be able to step into that role for the cover that they choose, which is kind of a cool thing because, you know, you get to dictate the direction of the song you chose.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Oh, that's nice.
kind of cool and fair and you know, we're
democratic.
Yes. Yes.
Everyone can, you know, take their turn at the reins.
Steering the ship.
Right. That's awesome. And so I was looking at rock music history today, and Oasis released their album What's the Story, Morning Glory back in 1995. So what's your take? I know people either hate Wonderwall or they like it.
You know, I've had a funny history with Oasis. When they first came out, I didn't like them at all. And then I liked them a lot. And then I didn't like them. And now I cherish them. You know, it was like a love-hate. And I think one of the reasons why I didn't like them originally was because it's all everybody talked about.
Mm.
And I was like, there's other stuff out. Like, seriously, there's other music out there. Like, yeah, it's great. It's great music. It's phenomenal music, but there's so much other stuff out there. And the realization of taking a step back and not listening to what media pumps through you and just what you appreciate made me go, no, this is really good stuff. Like, there are songs that weren't the hits that I loved, you know, and that's where you appreciate how amazing of songwriters and musicians they are, you know. And it's kind of like how we are, you know. There's a couple of songs on Bridges that didn't see the light of day that I think are fantastic. I mean, She Doesn't Care, you know, was when I had the bass line, that's from a Temptations song.
Ah.
Song that I loved so much. And I was like, oh man, that'd be so cool to do a rock version or use that influence and make a song out of it. And my bass line for She Doesn't Care is where that came from. And like, people don't understand. I mean, like, it's the inside tracks where you really get to see the musicians shine and do their thing, you know. And there's a lot of that on Bridges, I think. A lot of that where, you know, we just kind of opened up and were ourselves. Like that whole record is pretty much all the influences from all of us. I mean, you know, Andy's more of an indie rock to grunge, you know, Soul Asylum and things like that. Chris is a big Chili Peppers, but he loves Kings of Leon. And, you know, Casey is actually came from country roots, but he loves melodic rock. You know, that's his thing. And I'm a heavy head, like Seven Dust, Carnival, Living Color, you know, all that old stuff. But I used to be in a R&B funk band. I was in a neo soul band back in the day. So, you know, I have roots of rock and R&B and funk. And so all of that mixes together and gets us the music that we write for the most part. And some of this stuff off this new record, the new EP, you know, two of the songs are rather funky and, you know, wouldn't you say, Andy?
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, I think so too. And when you brought up Oasis, I feel like one of the things I've always admired about that band is the fact that they were like, the songs were so great. Like, I love whenever someone can have a beautiful song, but they're kind of a dark person. And obviously the Gallagher brothers kind of are the epitome of that. But I love how they're the real deal. That band can get together right now and be the biggest band in the world, and they hate each other so much, and they're such real artists, but they choose not to. So to me, it's like, that is so rad that they're like real rock stars in that sense. But I think what Brian's saying too, yeah, it's the deep cuts for me. I like Wonderwall, but I also like a lot of the other songs on that record, and the one after that, the Be Here Now, tons of tunes that didn't maybe make it on the radio at the time or MTV. But yeah, I feel like that's kind of what we're trying to do too. I feel like it's all about the songs in between the songs that were on the radio. Kind of like when people come to a CAVO show and they're always really surprised we don't sound like Champagne. That's always the main thing I've noticed is it's people kind of seem either excited or bummed about that. But I think it's cool to kind of do whatever you want, which is, I mean, obviously influenced by Oasis too, you know?
Yeah. I mean, Champagne was written the same week Let It Go was written, you know? Yeah. So it's like one of those things where, you know, like the Oasis situation, you know, when you really sit back and really get to listen to how amazing of a band they are, and Wonderwall isn't Oasis. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like that's, and I guess that was my issue. It was like, that's not who, I mean, all of their catalog is who they are, you know, like, and that's kind of, you know, we're not Champagne, we're CAVO, you know, and you have to listen to all the records to understand who we are, and everything we put out is who we are, and who, you know, our influences are affected by what we're going through at the time we're writing or recording, or you know, our mental state, to, you know, just our outlook on life. You know, I mean, we had our entire life to write Bright Nights, Dark Days, and you know, you put on a schedule to write other stuff, and you know, this newer stuff, yeah, there's a time frame we're trying to hit, but if we missed it, we miss it. It's not that big of a deal. I mean, there's going to be some disappointment, but you know, we don't have a label screaming and yelling at us. I mean, we do have management and a distribution company, but they don't scare us.
Yeah.
Whatever, you'll get it when you get it. So, but yeah, I mean, you know, we are a band of deep cuts. We can't be depicted just by Champagne or by Thick as Thieves or by any song. I think you have to listen to it all to kind of understand who and what we are.
Yeah, well, I was listening to your past few singles that you've released, and there's not one bad one. So, and I like that each one has a different different vibe, a different flair. So I really like that. You can't be, you know, put in one box. So that's good. Like you said, you all have different influences, and that really shines through.
Well, yeah, and you know, there are some bands who you know, don't change their sound as much. but I think us as a band, we've changed for every record. You know, we try not to say that that's what the other bands do. But you know, we try to change things up, and to a detriment sometimes, you know, like, you know, when Bridges came out, people were thinking it was going to be like Thick as Thieves, and they were like, what is this? Well,
Yeah.
it's a different record. Like this is the kind of stuff that I love when I was, you know, when I was a kid and I was getting music, you know, I mean, you know, you listen to Def Leppard back in the day, and you listen to Pyromania. And then when Hysteria came out,
Oh, I
you know,
know.
I was a wee little kid, and I was amazed listening to my sister listen to it. And I was just like, wait a second, that's cool. That doesn't, and she, you know, she listened to both. I mean, she was a big Def Leppard fan. And Def Leppard's the reason why I got into rock and roll, was
I
because
love
my
Def
sister,
Leppard.
yeah, my sister loved them, and I got into listening to them. And High and Dry was one of my favorite records, and I got that years after you know, Pyromania and stuff was out. You know, I went back for the backtracks, but you know, listening to how it changed from, of course, I had a tragedy in it, you know, with the drummer losing his arm. But when you listen to Pyromania, and then how amazingly different but amazingly awesome Hysteria was, you know, and I was like, oh, that's cool, you know. And so that's always been like my picture of what to do. You know, you want your fans to get something new. You don't want the same movie again. They've already
Yeah.
paid the price to see the movie. They don't want to see the same movie just with, you know, two different characters, you know.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, a
They
good
want,
example of that, like Adrenalize came out, and then there was like Let's Get Rocked was the hit. And then it was what, a year later, Two Steps Behind came out. Both
yeah,
massive hits, so different. So yeah, I agree with that. Like Def Leppard always kind of was a band that didn't play by anybody's rules. I love that.
yeah, and it's just great. And other bands can stay consistent, and they're successful as well, you know. And a lot of times when you change as much as say CAVO does, it can alienate some of your audience, you know. But we always try to tell everyone we love them, and you know, it's okay that they don't like a song or two, or they don't like a record. We'll have more music coming out. Hopefully you'll stick around and listen to it. You know, it's not a slap in the face to anyone. It's just, hey, we're artists, and we're creating a canvas, and we're creating stuff, and we hope you dig it.
Yeah. 100%.
Absolutely. And so Cynical, that was on one of your albums, Bridges. And I see that there's an alternative version. Was that done for a particular reason, or did you just kind of want to re-explore that song?
Go ahead and tell the story there, Andy.
No, well, it's funny. We came off the road in 2012. We were on the Carnival of Madness tour, which was a big long tour, playing like really big arenas with Evanescence and Chevelle and Hailstorm and New Medicine. So we came off that tour really, really tight as a band. And the first rehearsal we did to write for the new record, which was going to be Bridges, was we just pumped Cynical out like in what, an hour? It was like maybe 45 minutes. We had this song, and we all loved it. Like we all really dug it, and we all really liked where it was going. And so then a couple years went by. We wrote for like, I think 2.5 years. And then when it came time to do the record, we went into the studio, and the producer, Matt, and a couple other people were like, let's try something different with it. And we did try a different take on it. But the one you're hearing on the one we just released was the original demo we did in a studio in St. Louis. And it's funny because it kind of is in my mind, it's kind of a tribute to the idea of never spending too much time on a song. We were talking a couple of days ago about Josh from Queens of the Stone Age a while back, and made a comment in some interview where he said, never spend more than like 20 minutes on a song. Otherwise it's a waste of time. And I feel like we kind of learned our lesson with that, because we put that version, the original version, Cynical, out. Nobody reacted at all to it. And then we put this version out, and everyone's like, oh, I love it so much more. And it's just the basic original version. And I feel like it's kind of a testament to, we should have just gone with our initial gut instinct of the fact that we wrote it like in 45 minutes. We all loved it. We should have just put it out. So it's actually the original one. And it's a special song, I think, to us, because it is the first song that we wrote as a band whenever I joined, that we all wrote together, you know, fresh off a big tour. And when I listen to that song, it still kind of takes me back to that mindset of like, it was a really, really positive, happy time. And it was really cool. So it's good to hear it again. I'm glad people are digging it. And it's great to see it getting playlisted and people talking about it. It makes me happy to see that.
Yeah, and though that's one of the songs that when it was originally written, I'm a huge Police fan, and I was never able to see the original version because I was a little kid, you know, in kindergarten and stuff when they were touring and stuff. But I got to see them play live when they came back out and did their reunion tour. But I'm a huge Police fan, and the reason why I fell in love with that song was because it had that Police vibe, like Cynical, when we wrote it, Muscle Memory kind of has a reggae-ish, policey type vibe. And, you know, those were my influences. Because you can ask Andy at that time, I was really into the Police when we started writing the record for Bridges. You know, I've always been into the Police, but like Police was one of the bands I was listening to get influences from. And when we went into the studio with Matt, the thought was, this is good, but let's see if we can do something else with it. And the version that came out was what was on Bridges. And, you know, we're a democracy. I love the original version, but, you know, some of the members were like, you know, let's try this. And yeah, this is cool. Let's roll with this version. And, you know, sometimes, like Andy says, you can overthink a song or overthink things too much. And sometimes you don't stand up for what you think or what your beliefs are, and you just go with the flow. And either way, the original version came out. People love it. And I'm happy as heck because it is the original one, and it is the vision that we as a 4-piece originally had when it was done. We all were like, that's a good song. Like, that's good. And, you know, so I'm happy that it's getting to see the light of day, and it's actually doing pretty well.
Well, it's funny because we got a similar response to the song Wolves, which was also a single off this record. And Wolves was another song that we wrote like in 5 minutes, and we didn't put it on Bridges. And it's funny because when we posted that music video, all the comments were like, CAVO's back. Man, CAVO's back. And it's like, okay, we should have put that on Bridges. You know, we were definitely realized that should have been the lead single 5 years ago and done with it. Yeah, we should have done.
Now you know to go with your gut instinct.
Yeah. So the moral of the story is that we're just the best. That we need to just always remember that we are the best. That's all we got to remember. No outside influence.
No, those are two solid songs, I have to say, both of them.
Thanks.
Awesome. And what are your thoughts on it seems like the 90s are kind of coming back with the, I don't know, I don't want to say the kids, but with, you know, college students, I guess.
Oh yeah. Oh, I'm here for it. I never left the 90s, so I blend right in. all these kids are rocking ripped up jeans. Like the other night I played down here in Nashville, I played drums at a Nirvana 30th anniversary tribute show or something. And I'm probably the only person there from the 90s. But it was funny to watch all the kids like the ripped up jeans. And I was like, oh man, you got them like growing their hair back out. You know, it's
like
cool.
The fashion's coming back.
Yeah, I'm here for it. I don't get why. I've seen Jinkos are back in stores. I don't really support that. I don't want to go back to wearing Jinkos, but hey, I mean, yeah, it was a great time in music, and it was definitely the last era of bands getting record deals to where they could have careers where new trends started. So I get why it's nostalgic. I mean, once American Idol came along and all the songwriting stuff kind of became the thing, you didn't really have a lot of legendary bands coming out. So I get why it's so nostalgic for people. And yeah. I think people are bummed they missed it the first time, but it makes me feel old. I don't know about you, Brian, but it makes me feel old for sure.
Well, I'm older than you, so screw you, buddy. I think you know, we have another song that's probably going to be on the second original EP that has a late 80s, 90s vibe. If you recall, Andy, Paramore came out with like an 80s record a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And I was so into, like, I was like, this is awesome. This is like when I was a little kid, like,
yeah,
5-6 years old, running around the house, you know, jamming. This is the music that I was jamming to. Like, this reminds me of when MTV first came out, and it was like music videos, you know, and it was really cool. And so we have a song that has a little bit of an 80s, 90s or early 90s vibe to it. And it's kind of a cool thing that, you know, music comes back around and influences come back around, because, you know, it's a part of you, it's a part of your history and a part of what makes you you, and when you could use that and put it into a song, it's one of the greatest feelings ever.
Yeah. And music is so, well, I guess just everything is strange like that, in the sense that, like, when it comes to entertainment music, for instance, it's almost like you have to, sometimes bands have to go away for a while until like their influence can be recognized. For instance, one of my favorite bands in the 90s is a band called the Gin Blossoms. And all through the 2000s, they would go out and play shows, and it was like, you know, rib fests of America, not a lot of people. And then all of a sudden that wave of nostalgia came along, and now they're out playing, well, they were before COVID, they were playing their breakthrough record front to back, selling out, you know, 2,000 seaters every night, fans waiting outside the bus. So nothing really changed, except for time just kind of caught back up to them. And so it is funny to see, like, if you're in a band and you just, it's not going so well anymore, it's like, just go away for a while and nostalgia will catch back up, and boom, you're famous again. It's kind of strange to see that happen. Like, I'm seeing a lot of 90s bands that I've been going and seeing for years play to nobody, and now they're packing out the big club in Nashville, and it makes me happy.
Yeah, me too.
Hey Andy, what's your affiliation with the Gin Blossoms?
No, I was saying people are saying that emo's coming back now, and I feel like that's too soon. It feels like that was just yesterday. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that can't come back just yet.
What? It's been 20 years, so everyone's like, My Chemical Romance is nostalgic. Yeah, almost. Yeah, 2001. It's wild.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Well,
That
you
makes
know,
me feel-
a lot of the bands that we know, you know, like there's a lot of bands that are that were in the emo realm that are touring, are starting to tour and putting records together and stuff right now. So that makes sense, actually.
Yeah, it's that 20-year cycle. You know, people are all hyped in like the My Chemical Romance reunion, and I'm just like, man, that band's
yeah.
old enough, right? That's wild.
Yeah, it's hard to believe.
Yeah. Hey Andy, I was trying to toot your horn about the Gin Blossoms, that you've actually played a couple shows.
Oh yeah, yeah, they're my boys. Yeah, I love that band, and they're just I would play with them any chance. They're just like the greatest. I was a massive fan growing up, and I met them, like, we became friends like well over like 16, 17 years ago. My old band, the Salem, Massachusetts Vandals, we used to tour with them a lot. That's how I became friends with them. But I love that band. I think they're extremely underrated.
Andy's played drums when their drummer couldn't make shows.
Ah.
So yeah. I was just giving Andy some props, because here's a little more information about Andy you don't know. He's a renowned cook.
Renowned.
Ooh.
World renowned. Yeah, I'm actually in the
What's your
right
specialty?
Yeah, well, that was kind of by accident. I started working in a restaurant during coronavirus whenever I couldn't play shows. And I work at a radio station, obviously, full time. But then I got into this kitchen, and it's hilarious. Like, I work for a celebrity chef, and I just told Brian I cooked for Jimmy Kimmel a couple weeks ago. Like this, so and they have no idea. Like, it's funny. I'm back there with all these like pro culinary students, and then there's me. I feel like a spy that came in the back door or something. No one, I don't think anybody knows I didn't go to culinary school, but nobody's ever asked. So hopefully they don't watch this tape.
Honestly, God, I think it's the coolest thing in the world, dude. And you're a triple threat, dude. Like,
yeah,
you're a phenomenal drummer, you're a radio personality, and just because you couldn't play shows, you picked up a gig to tide you over, and it turned into something phenomenal where you're you know, he's been on a couple of television shows too, so cooking. So like, I think it's great, bro. Like, I try to toot your horn because you don't ever toot your horn loud enough. I mean, you are a triple threat, bro. Appreciate that.
Well, I appreciate it, man. You're too kind.
You'll have to do something similar to that YouTube series, the spicy one or hot ones, or
oh yeah,
oh yeah, dude, you totally could do something like
there
that.
You go. Well, I saw like Gavin from Bush, whenever they couldn't tour, he was doing like, you see that on his Instagram live? He would do like cooking with Gavin. And apparently he's just like a pro, obviously all healthy stuff because he's Gavin, but it's like, it was like these cooking shows that he was doing. I think he liked doing that more than touring, it seemed like.
You can like cook for all your rock music friends or musician friends. And then
I'm going to cater our own tours. For now on, we'll do our own tour. I'll cater them. I got this, Brian. I got this.
And then you can just like chit chat with them while you're eating.
There you go.
Or while you're cooking something.
Yeah, I love it. Hell yeah.
Well, guys, I really appreciate your time, and I really hope maybe you and the Gin Blossoms can come back to Massachusetts one of these days.
Yeah, I would love that. That'd be fun.
We've had lots of fun in Boston. I can't remember. Is Hailstorms from Philadelphia, right?
Oh, okay. I was thinking of someone else.
Yeah, I think Philly originally is where they're from. It's somewhere.
Yeah, yeah. Because I remember we played a couple of shows with them in Boston. Well, we've been through Boston several times actually. With Daughtry, Crew Fest, Carnival Madness. We were there, weren't we? With
Oh yeah,
Madness.
the big
That's-
PNC Pavilion. I think is that still around? The PNC Pavilion. I think that's what it's called.
Oh,
I'm
they
sure
keep
it's
changing the name. Is it the one that's kind of like an outdoor,
Yeah,
and
it's right
kind
there
of near the water?
Yeah, it's right there in the ocean. I remember thinking it was so dope.
Yeah, they keep changing the name, so I don't know what the current name is, but it used to be called the Blue Hills Bank Pavilion. Then it was
Okay.
like Leader Bank Pavilion.
Yeah,
I
But
can't
yeah,
remember.
it's still there.
I
nice.
can't remember the place we played. Well, you weren't in the band yet, Andy. I was dry. We had one of those bandwagons, and it was downtown Boston, and it's a well-known place, but it's like in a nice, super nice area where they have a bunch of restaurants, and it's God, what's the name of the place? And
Is
I
it-
had to drive. Go
Is
ahead.
it Middle East, like Middle East? Might be that one. Or Paradise.
No, God, I can't think of the name of it. We were there with Blackstone Cherry
Oh, nice.
when we were on the road with those guys.
Oh, was
And
it Brighton Music Hall?
yeah, I believe. Was that it? Is it like downtown and it's around the area? There's like cobblestoned
Oh,
streets around it.
okay.
I
That
can't
sounds
think of
like
it.
Beacon Hill, kind of.
I can't think of where it was. Anyway, I had to navigate through that downtown area wherever it was with a bandwagon and a trailer. And I remember coming around, there's a police station on the far edge, and I had to make a turn and back that thing up. And I was like inches away from these police cars. And that's why I remember Boston so much, because I almost had a heart attack because I was like, I'm going to jail tonight. I'm going to take a car. But I made the turn. I made the cut, just had to back it up a little bit, and I made the turn.
Oh,
But
yeah.
everybody was looking at us like we were crazy because we went the wrong way. There's another way we should have went, and we went this way. Should have came from the back way, and instead we had to go around all this crazy stuff to get to it. It was funny.
Yeah, driving in Boston's a nightmare.
Yeah.
I avoid it when I can. Well, guys, I really appreciate you chatting with me. It's been a blast, and
Awesome.
yeah, can't wait to see what covers you have coming out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
No,
gonna be
blast too.
fun. It's gonna be awesome. But remember the EP comes out first, the original
Right.
EP. Which, if you want to talk to us again, just reach out to Allison. She'll hook it up, and then
Oh, definitely, yeah.
and then you can review the songs and let us know how good or bad they are.
Yeah.
No, I'm positive they're going to be amazing.
Right on.
Those drum parts were just bad.
Remember what Andy said, you guys are the best.
Yeah. We're the best. No more questions. It's decided. We're the best.
Well, guys, enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Yeah,
You
you
too.
too. Thanks so much.
Thank you for spending some time with us.
Yes, bye-bye.